There is a video, a real video, released by the United States Department of Defense, shot from the targeting camera of a U.S. Navy F/A-18 Super Hornet over the Pacific Ocean, November 14, 2004. In that video, you can see an object, white, smooth, no wings, no exhaust, no visible propulsion of any kind, moving in ways that the pilot filming it, a decorated U.S. Navy commander with 18 years of flight experience, later testified before Congress, were beyond anything he had ever seen, beyond anything we currently have, beyond anything we will have in the next 10 to 20 years. The object was tracked on 5 separate detection systems simultaneously: ship radar, aircraft radar, infrared camera, visual confirmation by 4 pilots, and sonar, detecting something below the surface of the ocean. 5 independent systems, same object, same location, same time. The U.S. Navy authenticated the video. The Pentagon officially released it. The Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence testified before Congress that this incident cannot be explained as human-made or natural. That is not a UFO enthusiast saying that. That is the United States government. This is the USS Nimitz Tic-Tac incident, the most documented, most officially verified UFO encounter in American military history. And there are details about what happened that day that most people have never heard. November 2004, Pacific Ocean, 100 miles southwest of San Diego. The USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group is conducting routine pre-deployment training exercises. It is one of the most powerful military formations on Earth. The USS Nimitz, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. The USS Princeton, a guided missile cruiser equipped with the most advanced radar in the U.S. Navy fleet. The AN/SPY-1B Aegis radar system, designed to track ballistic missiles, to track stealth aircraft, to track anything. On board the Princeton, Chief Petty Officer Kevin Day, the senior radar operator. Kevin Day has spent his career staring at radar screens. He knows what birds look like. He knows what commercial aircraft look like. He knows what weather returns look like. He knows what he's looking at. And starting around November 10th, 4 days before the famous encounter, Kevin Day starts seeing something he doesn't know. Objects appearing at 80,000 feet altitude, then dropping to near sea level in under a second. 80,000 feet to near zero in under 1 second. For context, the Space Shuttle re-entry from orbit takes approximately 25 minutes to descend from that altitude. These objects were doing it in less time than it takes to blink. Day watches them for 4 days. He assumes his equipment is malfunctioning. He runs diagnostics. Everything checks out. The returns are real. He reports it to the Princeton's commanding officer. He asks for permission to vector aircraft to investigate. "I was chomping at the bit," he later said. "I just really wanted to intercept these things." On November 14th, he gets his chance. November 14th, 2004, 2 p.m. Commander David Fravor is already airborne. He is the commanding officer of Strike Fighter Squadron 41, the Black Aces. 18 years of flight experience, Top Gun graduate, the kind of pilot the Navy trusts with its best aircraft. He and his wingman, Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich, are flying a standard training exercise. Then an unusual order comes from the Princeton. Stop the training, proceed to new coordinates. And then, more unusually, the operations officer asks, "Are you carrying any live weapons?" They are not. Fravor and Dietrich fly to the coordinates, along with their backseat weapons systems officers, 4 crew members total. When they arrive, they don't see anything in the air, but they see something on the water, a disturbance, a roughly oval area of churning white water, about the size of a Boeing 737, on an otherwise completely calm ocean surface, as if something large was just beneath the surface, moving just below. And then, above the white water, a small white object about 40 feet long, no wings, no tail, no exhaust, no markings, shaped exactly like a Tic-Tac breath mint, hovering, moving erratically, darting left and right above the disturbed water. Fravor later described it to 60 Minutes. It was just moving above the white water area. It had no predictable movement, no predictable trajectory. He begins a descent toward the object. As he spirals down, the object mirrors him. It matches his movements, ascending as he descends, maintaining the distance, as if it was aware of him. Fravor later said that was the moment he understood this was not a drone, not a balloon, not any piece of technology he could identify, because it was responding to him. He decides to cut off its escape route. He pushes the FA-18 into a hard dive, trying to get below it and cut it off. The object reacts instantly. All of a sudden, it kind of turns and rapidly accelerates, beyond anything I have seen, crosses my nose, and it's gone. Gone. Not gone slowly, not accelerating away over the horizon, just gone. In an instant. Faster than his eyes could track it. Seconds later, the Princeton radar operators reacquire the object, more than 60 miles away, at their Combat Air Patrol rendezvous point, a location that Fravor and Dietrich had been assigned before takeoff, a classified coordinate that had not been transmitted on any open channel. The object went to their predetermined meeting point before they did. Alex Dietrich, Fravor's wingman, later described to CBS News what that moment felt like. I felt the vulnerability of not having anything to defend ourselves, and then I felt confused when it disappeared. 4 crew members, all saw it. All filed matching reports. All said the same thing. They had no idea what it was. The FLIR video. Fravor and Dietrich returned to the Nimitz without capturing any footage, but a second wave of aircraft launched immediately after. One of those pilots, Lieutenant Commander Chad Underwood, was equipped with the FLIR targeting pod, the forward-looking infrared camera. Underwood found the object, and he filmed it. That 1-minute 17-second video is what the world eventually came to know as the Tic-Tac footage. Underwood later said he coined the term himself, inspired by the shape of the object on his infrared screen. He also revealed something that rarely gets mentioned. The object was jamming his radar. He said, quote, "I did get jamming cues on my radar tape. This was not a passive object floating in the sky. It was actively interfering with his instruments." 5 independent detection systems. Here is what makes the Nimitz case unlike almost any other UFO report in history. The object was confirmed on 5 separate independent detection systems. Not one pilot's word, not one blurry photograph. 5 systems. First, the USS Princeton's AN/SPY-1B Aegis radar, tracking the object for 4 days before the visual
USS
encounter,
Princeton Aegis
watching
radar,
it drop
4 days,
80,000 feet in
2
under a
aircraft
second. Second, the FA-18's onboard radar. Both Fravor's aircraft and Underwood's aircraft locked on to the same object independently. Third, the FLIR infrared camera. The actual video. Government authenticated. Pentagon released. Fourth, visual confirmation. 4 sets of human eyes in 2 separate aircraft with 18+ years of combined flight experience, all describing the same object. Fifth, sonar. Reports from submarine assets in the area detected an unidentified object operating beneath the surface of the ocean in the same location as the aerial disturbance. Radar, aircraft radar, infrared camera, 4 pilots, sonar, all at the same time, same location, same object. In 2022, the Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence, Scott Bray, testified before the House Intelligence Committee. He used the Nimitz case as an example, and he said these words on the record, This is a case that we are not able to explain as human-made or as a natural phenomenon. The United States government, on the record, in Congress, saying they cannot explain it. When Fravor and Dietrich returned to the Nimitz and reported what they had seen, they were met with something they didn't expect: ridicule. Their fellow crew members laughed, teased them. The idea that two of the Navy's most experienced pilots had chased a UFO across the Pacific was apparently funny. And then, the data started disappearing. Kevin Day, the radar operator who had been tracking the objects for 4 days, said that shortly after the incident, men he didn't recognize came aboard the Princeton. They downloaded the radar data from his systems, all of it, and left, without identifying themselves, without explaining why. The data was gone. Chad Underwood, the pilot who filmed the Tic-Tac, said a second recording of the incident exists. It has never been released. The video itself, the one that was eventually released, didn't reach the public through official channels. It was leaked by a man named Luis Elizondo, the head of a secret Pentagon program called ADIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Elizondo obtained the video, resigned from the Pentagon, and passed the footage to a former intelligence insider named Chris Mellon. Mellon put it directly into the hands of the New York Times. In December 2017, the New York Times published the story. The video went global overnight. And in April 2020, the Pentagon officially confirmed and released all 3 UAP videos, making the Tic-Tac footage the first UAP video in history to be officially declassified and released by the U.S. government. July 26, 2023, U.S. House Oversight Committee. This is the moment that changed everything. Commander David Fravor, now retired, sat before the U.S. House Oversight Committee's National Security Subcommittee, under oath, and said this: "I think what we experienced was well beyond the material science and the capabilities that we had at the time, that we have currently, or that we are going to have in the next 10 to 20 years." Under oath, before Congress, a decorated Navy commander, saying that what he encountered in 2004 was beyond anything the United States military possesses today or will possess for decades. Alongside Fravor sat 2 other witnesses: Ryan Graves, a former Navy pilot who had encountered UAPs repeatedly during training exercises off the East Coast, and David Grush, a former intelligence officer who testified about classified UFO retrieval programs. But it was Fravor's testimony that carried the most weight, because Fravor had never claimed aliens, never speculated wildly, never sold books about alien contact. He simply described what he saw, what his instruments recorded, what defied every explanation he had. He said one more thing in that hearing that most coverage missed. A reporter asked him, "Do you think it was extraterrestrial?" He paused, and then he said, "I have no idea where it came from, but I know that the technology I witnessed was real, and I know that nothing we have comes close." Ryan Graves added something that put the scale of this problem into perspective. He said UAP encounters in restricted U.S. military airspace are not rare. They are routine. He said pilots don't report them because of the stigma, because of exactly the kind of ridicule Fravor and Dietrich faced when they came back to the Nimitz. The encounters are happening, the data exists, and the stigma has been keeping it quiet. What the skeptics say, fairly. Because this is Vantage Elite, we go through the skeptical explanations honestly. Science writer Mick West, one of the most rigorous skeptical investigators of UAP videos, has analyzed the Tic-Tac footage extensively. His conclusion? The object's apparent movement on the FLIR video can largely be explained by camera rotation and targeting pod movement, rather than the object itself performing extraordinary maneuvers. He points out that the FLIR camera is mounted on a gimbal. It rotates to track objects. And when it rotates, Stationary or slowly moving objects can appear to accelerate dramatically on screen. This is a legitimate technical argument. It applies specifically to the video. But here is what it does not explain. Kevin Day's radar returns. 4 days of objects dropping 80,000 feet in under a second. That data was taken by the most advanced naval radar system in existence. Camera rotation does not explain radar data. The object's behavior when Fravor attempted to intercept it, the mirroring, the awareness, the instantaneous acceleration. Fravor was not watching a screen. He was in the cockpit, looking with his own eyes. The object appearing 60 miles away at Fravor's classified rendezvous point, seconds after disappearing. No camera artifact explains that. The active radar jamming reported by Underwood. Camera gimbals do not jam radar. And 5 independent detection systems across 2 ships and 2 aircraft, all confirming the same object at the same time. Mick West's analysis of the video is technically sound. It explains the video. It does not explain the encounter. The ending. David Fravor is in his early 60s now. He has told this story on Joe Rogan, on 60 Minutes, before Congress. Every single time, the same details, the same account, the same conclusion. He doesn't say aliens. He has never said aliens. He says, I do not know what it was, but I know what it was not. It was not a drone, not a balloon, not any aircraft he has ever encountered in 18 years of flying the most advanced jets the United States produces. Alex Dietrich, his wingman, only came public in 2021. For 17 years, she said nothing. When she finally spoke, she said her motivation was simple. I hope I am not the UFO Tic-Tac person for the rest of my life. But if telling this story helps remove the stigma for other pilots, it is worth it. Kevin Day, the radar operator who watched those objects for 4 days before anyone else even knew they were there, has said in interviews that he still thinks about it, that it changed how he looks at the sky, that he wishes he still had that radar data, the data that was taken from his ship by men he didn't recognize, men who never identified themselves, who left no record of their visit, and whose identities, to this day, are unknown. The video exists. The Pentagon released it. Congress has heard the testimony. The Navy has acknowledged the encounters are real, ongoing, and unexplained. 5 detection systems confirmed the same object, and a decorated commander testified under oath that the technology he witnessed is beyond anything we have or will have for decades. Whatever was in the sky over the Pacific on November 14, 2004, it knew Fravor was there. It went to his classified meeting point before he did, and then it was gone. Subscribe to Vantage Elite for more cases like this. Drop a comment. 5 detection systems, Pentagon authenticated footage, Congress testimony. What else do you need? And I will see you in the next one.